Let me start with you. They filled in some gaps, but not a lot.
Not a lot, Chuck. Yes, it would be great, and I don't understand why questions weren't allowed to be asked or answered there. I mean, particularly because it would be great to get a little bit more of a sense of the ideology here. Unfortunately, we don't yet have the court documents. I believe I heard the Attorney General Dana Nessel say that it was the Gloverine Watchmen that these individuals were associated with in announcing the arrest of 7 more people on state charges. That's very typical in these type of cases, Chuck, because sometimes the states have the ability to make charges that the federal authorities can't, just because of law and the statutes between the state and the federal government. I think it's interesting to note all these men fit a typical profile that we see, which is mid to late 30s, early 40s. The possession of weapons charges and the commission of a felony are important charges because those carry mandatory sentences that are stacked on top of whatever they're convicted with in their initial charges, the violations of the state terrorism laws. As far as the original reason why we're here talking today, which is the 6 people that have been charged federally, separate from the charges the Attorney General mentioned, all of those people could potentially face life in prison for those plots. So I think that that's important. They did call these individuals, quote, violent extremists, according to Andrew Burge. He's the U.S. attorney who's prosecuting this. The FBI mentioned extremists. There's 2 quick things that I want to point out. One, the involvement of the FBI JTTF. So while there is no domestic terrorism statute in the United States, and there's several reasons for that, the involvement of the JTTF tells me how, in the involvement of the state police, tells me how seriously they took this plot because of those investigative techniques that they can bring here, very similar to if this was, say, an ISIS plot. That's the first thing. The second thing is, in the federal charging documents, and I want people to understand and appreciate this, there was an informant, Chuck, that wore a recording device on their person even after one of the people that was charged today allegedly went around the room, took everybody's cell phones, and took them away from them. This meeting apparently happened in the basement that was accessed through a trap door in a store. And in that meeting, they took away everybody's cell phones. That person, who's an informant, stayed in that meeting and recorded that meeting, which was helpful for the charges being brought today. That takes 2 things. 1, a lot of bravery and guts. And 2, to put a informant in a situation like that, Chuck, requires an awful lot of coordination and expertise by law enforcement. They would know and have the ability to bring that person out of there if that recording device was discovered. And so there's a lot of work, some of which I won't discuss, that went into this case here today. That's very clear from the documents.
Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor, subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Meet the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.